Hello and welcome back to the Transform You podcast. I'm Nelia.
And I'm Paula, and today we're going to do part one of manifesting.
Oh, aye.
The reason we made this like a two-parter was because we've got funny wee stories and other things that kind of manifested for us or other people that we wanted to share. And then part two, we'll do a wee step-by-step process of how to manifest and all the tools that you'll basically need. Okay, so the reason we thought we'd maybe start talking about manifesting is because we went to a lovely wee workshop the other day hosted by our one and only Nelia and Donna from the Soul Works, and it was just amazing. And I think that wee event just kind of gave us a wee bit of inspo.
Yeah, it's fresh in our mind. It was also requested.
Yes,
a few weeks ago, yeah.
Yep, that was requested a few times actually. So we'll still have a couple of the requests to get through, but we'll get there. But this one just aligned perfectly, as they would say in the manifesting world.
In our minds.
So Nelia the other day done a yoga session, and then we done a wee manifestation workshop. And I think after that, me and you were like, oh aye, we were like visualising the same thing. So we were doing the meditations and stuff. And then after it, I sent Nelia a big voice note like, oh my God, all the things that I was imagining.
Her own podcast. A little solo podcast.
It was about 15 minutes long.
I loved it.
But then you were visualising the exact same thing as me. I think stuff like that, like the wee stories that you get. So I've had so many things like that happen in my life. Like I like visualise something and then I'm there and it's happening. I'm like, what the fuck?
And sometimes it happens so quickly. Yeah. And then sometimes it takes even a year.
Like you forget about it.
Yeah, you completely forget about it. And then you look back in your journals or even you think about it like a couple of years later and you're like, hold on.
Crazy.
Wait a minute. I manifested that.
Like you can't even remember and you're like, oh my God.
It's really freaky.
It is. Lassies, honestly, that's why we're always shouting about journaling and writing this stuff down, because when you script that out and then you forget, you kind of just put it out there, you believe that it's going to happen, you forget, and then literally 3 years later, you look and you're like,
so good.
I manifested that. So
I did that.
Aye, like an example being, like if you're watching, I have my first two ever journals that I got, the wee dotty one that I've mentioned before, and this one here was my manifesting book. Yeah. And some of the stuff that I wrote in that, Nelia and I just went over it. It is spooky.
It is actually.
So if you don't believe, please let this be your sign to believe. Like things so specific. So I had scripted something about having enough money to be financially free, to be able to afford a flat in myself and to get myself in a position of management and be able to run businesses on the side and literally all of that stuff. And I was very specific about some things, like make enough money to be able to do this, this and this. Like other things where I will work in my old work until I, have my own businesses, which will then fuel me to leave that. And all of that's obviously came through. Like even things like management, I don't ever remember wanting to be a manager, but I did write that down 3 years ago. And obviously I did become a manager, and I'm like, oh God, I manifest that. But I think that was though, like, you get tests from the universe.
Yeah.
Like, do you actually want this? Because then of course I got that management position and I was like, no. This is not, this does not align with me.
It was not.
So
it was
that's
not for you.
another thing. So that was a test. So I thought that I wanted that because I thought I wanted the big pay packet and I thought I wanted to be like that sort of role. And then I got it, and I just remember every day feeling terrible. Obviously I've mentioned this before, but that was the universe being like, well, there you go. Give it a wee shot, hen. Yeah. And my whole life just became so honestly, things like that, just, it's funny. You forget and then you look back and you're like, oh, wow.
But that's like me when I was working in schools.
Yes.
That was my dream. That was what I thought I wanted for the rest of my days. And I manifested it and I got it.
Yep.
And I had my dream jobs and I thought, oh, look at me.
And then your life was
and I was working in incredible schools.
Amazing
like,
schools.
Amazing
like
schools.
I was shocked you told me. And then I told Carla and Duggan, they were like, what?
Like top of the range schools.
People like us don't go to these schools.
I manifested it.
Yeah.
I manifested me getting my foot through the door at those schools.
Yeah. Well, you think it's amazing.
You think it's amazing, guys. And then you get your foot through the door and it's like, ooh, gosh. It's a bit toxic.
I think then, especially sort of people we are, I don't really think we'll ever do well in they kind of roles.
We do not.
Especially when there's so many rules and so much like, stuff that we just wouldn't ever put on people ourselves, but we are having to impose these things because that's like the company policies and things. And
struggled with. And even a few people that I worked alongside and got along really well with, they were the same.
Yeah.
And we really struggled and we battled against that situation. And you could tell it was just never going to work for us.
No.
and we've all sort of gone the opposite way.
But honestly,
and ran far away from that
was
institution.
A test, like a big test for you. And it's funny that we've both had that mental experience. We've also both done that crazy thing where we run away from life's issues and book flights to Thailand and Australia and all those kind of places, thinking that that's what we want. So,
thinking that's the answer.
We do what we do. We manifest this stuff. We're like, right, okay, here I am. I wanted to be living in Bondi Beach. Here I am, but
I wanted to be on a beach in Thailand. That's where I want to be for my birthday, Christmas. I'm going to be on an island in Thailand. That's going to be my dream.
I could see you now. It looks a vision as well. But
but I had the worst time of my life. I was just crying non-stop.
So,
and it was like, the dream did not work out.
So that's it. But that happens. So just remember that, like, you can ask for stuff, but see if you're not being true to what actually aligns to you.
Exactly.
Or you're not being true to yourself, or you're not being true to your why, or it doesn't fit your personality. The universe will deliver, but the universe will also just be like, well, that's what you wanted, so there you go.
Yeah, you're not ready for it.
No. And you get tests like that in all sorts of walks of life. So if you're dating, for example, if you just write, I want to manifest my dream partner, right? The universe might send you a couple of bad guys or gals along the way to see if you'll settle, to see if you've done the work, to see if you will accept that sort of behaviour. Because if you're saying that you're the sort of person that deserves to be loved and you deserve to be treated well, but you then end up settling for the opposite of that, which people are guilty of because, you're kind of craving that validation, that's a sign. So you need to be looking for that. Like, it comes in like your gut, your intuition, signs like, maybe there's dodgy texts coming through and you just, I'll just ignore that. I'll just, so if you are on your manifesting journey, look out for the signs and look out for tests.
Yeah.
Because they do come.
They do come.
We've had them and ignored them.
Including us. We don't now, by the way.
No.
We do listen.
Well, we try.
We try not to.
Yeah.
I think we're good at keeping each other accountable, though.
We are, yeah.
We're now very good at talking, like speaking out loud about our gut feelings.
Yeah.
We're very open with each other and our pals.
Yeah.
So we keep each other accountable.
Yeah, I think that's good.
I will call Paula out. And she will call me out.
Yeah, definitely.
But I think in the past,
no,
we have not listened.
It's because you're kind of thinking, this is what I should do, or this is what should feel good. And if there's a should, it's something, then that's not something that you really feel good about. It's something that you want to do.
If it's a should, you probably shouldn't.
Shouldn't do it. Yeah. If it's not a hell yes, it's a fuck no.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Word of wisdom for the day.
Yes.
If it's not a hell yes, it's a fuck no.
Love it. It's a good word of wisdom.
That's a good wee word of wisdom. Especially this is quite light-hearted, this one.
We'll get into the serious stuff in part 2.
By the way, speaking about signs, we have had so many freaky signs. Keep getting 11:11. And I know you've maybe heard about this. You see it all over Instagram and it's 11:11 and there's that funny meme and I'm like, that is me and you. It's the one, it's like, when I look at my microwave and it's 11:11, I know that everything's going to be all right. Like that's actually warped my brain.
Yeah.
Right, but we've had freakier stuff than that. No, just signs in the microwave. No, we've had like...
It's everywhere.
We send voice notes that end in 11:11.
Yeah.
We look at our phone, it's 11:11. We've stopped episodes, it's 11:11.
It really weird.
The internet cuts out 11:11.
11:11.
So weird. But it's constant, and we've actually been collecting evidence because one day we're like, we need to share this.
Like it's gonna mean something.
Oh, well, I think we already know what it means, but it's just like, is that what it means?
Yeah.
So as we're like saying that this is all working out, like this is the right path for us, and we keep getting the 111s, and we're like,
and
okay,
we know in our gut, like that is a really good gut feeling.
Yes, it is.
It feels so right to us.
Yeah, like we're not spooked by the 111.
No,
like
we
it's
love
not like
it.
a warning. We're like, why 111?
Yeah, it feels good.
It does.
But it's just, it's wild.
There's
it's
been
just
so many.
everywhere.
The pink flamingo, it came up again.
Yeah.
So I actually mentioned this in an episode. I can't remember which one.
I think it was
2 or 3 maybe.
Yeah, it was early on.
Right, if you've listened to all these, remember that I manifest and my sign was a pink flamingo.
Yeah.
So I got like the diary or something like that. And on Sunday at that event, I pulled my card. And what the fuck is the card? A pink flamingo. I mean, what the fuck? There was about 200 cards there. And I pulled the pink flamingo.
And you were telling the girls at the front. And then I went over to Paula and I was like, what card did you get? And you were like, flamingo. And I was like, oh my God.
Like, what that? Like, that's weird.
That was so weird.
Kirsty beside me as well, when we were doing our meditation, was thinking about a fox. And she was thinking, and she kept seeing foxes, and she pulled the fox card.
Guys.
The whole sign thing, I think people will be like, oh, that's a coincidence. And, you would see that anywhere. And I suppose, like, there is an element of, if you tell your brain to look out for yellow cars, you're going to see yellow cars, right? Mm-hmm. But I think it's more when you're being very specific about things and you've already said, right, if I see this, then I know that it's a sign. And then the universe delivers that. That's when it's a sign. It definitely is. Like, your brain will find whatever you tell it to look for, it will find it. And you need to trust that. It's that intuition, what you just mentioned. If the gut feeling is, okay, this is good. Example of when it's bad, right? So when I was going through this toxic breakup, I kept asking for signs about me feeling right about something that was in my gut. And it was basically something that I really didn't want to believe, right? So I didn't want to believe that something had happened, but I kept getting signs that it was happening, right?
Yeah.
And I was just ignoring those signs, like text messages, mate, fucking fines coming through for hotels, like parking tickets for hotels, all sorts. And I was like, what is this? And obviously I wasn't at the hotels, like, do you know what I mean? I was just getting signs left, right and centre, like rumours flying about, things getting back to me, finding fucking Starbucks cups in the back of my car that I was like, that's not mine. Mate, the signs were signing, right?
Yeah.
And I was just
screaming at you.
It could not have been any clearer.
Couldn't have been any louder, Paula.
Mate, you would not believe. Like, even like one day, like Alicia bumped into this somebody who mentioned this person and this other person and said, and she was just like, that's my pal. Like, what the actual fuck?
Just joining all the
Mate,
dots.
it was happening everywhere. So, guys, if you're asking for signs and you're getting them, listen, because we'll ignore them because we'll be like, no, it can't. Like, it can't.
Because sometimes you don't want to. You don't want to.
I didn't want to hear it. Like, I knew it, but I wasn't ready. I suppose that's what it was. I shouldn't have actually been asking for signs because I wasn't ready. I think you know when you're ready for it.
Yeah.
Because now, obviously, I'm like, that's fucking hysterical, right? But like,
I'm like, fuck's sake,
Delia,
Paula.
I could have a full book of signs that I was getting, mate. Like, I cannot, honest to God, you wouldn't actually believe half the fucking shit.
God, see if I knew you back then, I'd be like shaking you.
No, but the thing is,
but you wouldn't have listened.
All my pals as well were Delulu. We were all Delulu because they were like, no, he wouldn't do that. Like that, no, surely no. And it's just
but me
like,
back then, I was also Delulu. So
yeah,
my pals wouldn't have been able to shake. They weren't able to shake me out of my Delulu-ness either.
Fucking mental. So guys, you'll get the
done a lot of
signs
work.
like that. You'll get signs that are warnings. Like, here is concrete evidence that gut feeling you've got is right.
Yes.
And honestly, please, the best thing though is see when I realised that. See now, see my gut in me. We're like that, besties, because I trust her.
Yeah.
She's got my back. Like, I know now, and I just know, like, if something doesn't feel right to me, it's not right.
Yeah.
And we both get that, and we're both very good at communicating that with each other. Like, so I'll say to you, like, mate, it's just, they're giving me weird vibes. And we were getting weird vibes and mental.
I know. We both have like very similar like gut feelings as well.
Yeah.
I think our values align. Everything.
I think that's
we
it.
really
Obviously,
align.
yes.
So yeah, we're very, very similar. So can be very open and honest with each other in that sense.
I'd say I'm more open with you than anybody. Like I can just voice note you like and say everything. Whereas other people I wouldn't be as comfortable to do that. Just because I feel like you are more like me, like you can kind of see things from different sides and you're not really judgmental. But again, I think because you also maybe feel what I'm feeling or you've felt it before.
Yeah.
Aye.
Yeah. So yeah, our voice notes are just
therapy.
Therapy.
But that's
so
why we
safe
love
space.
this. Yeah.
Our wee WhatsApp chats.
And this is
Safe
our
space.
WhatsApp chat with you guys.
That's like it's gals group chat.
Yeah.
We have those gals group chat episodes because it is a safe space.
It is.
We're just opening up our voice notes.
This is kind of a gals group chat. I mean, we didn't intend for it to be like this, but
No,
yeah,
but
I feel like this is gals group chat vibes.
Love it.
So cute.
Oh, cute.
Let's give me some more sign kind of stuff, because now that we're talking about that, I feel like they're always pure good stories. Like
Signs.
if someone says to you like, right, how spooky is this? And then they've got like a story to go with it. But you've got fucking thousands as well.
Well, I manifested my dogs.
Really?
Yeah.
Tell that story.
Well, remember my last dog, Winnie, who's sadly no longer with us.
Girlies.
But I had said for months and months, this was when COVID happened, so we lost our last two dogs, and I had just said to my family, I was like, I'm going to have an English setter called Winnie. And they were like, oh, okay.
Okay then.
Weirdo.
Very specific as well.
Yeah. I was like, that's just what I'm going to have. And then we rescued our dog called Dusty, but he was coming over from Serbia, my wee babe. But in all the photos and videos, and also my family at this point were like, okay, so you're not getting your English setter called Winnie.
Aye. What happened to Winnie?
But in all the photos and videos they sent of Dusty, there's this other little dog who we disabled babe, my wee Winnie. Backstory to Winnie, by the way, guys, he had two disabled back legs, so he was like a wee hop along, and he was called, his Serbian name was Selwyn. And I asked the charity, I said, who's this dog? Like, they're best pals. Every single video this
together.
dog was in it, and they said, oh, he's not going to be put up for adoption because no one's going to adopt him. And I was like, I will.
You're like, don't you ever?
Like, that dog is called Winnie.
Oh
like,
my
that
God.
dog is Winnie and he's mine.
Oh,
Bring them both to me.
I love
Before
that.
I even told my family, by the way.
You were like, give me them all.
And I went to my family. I was like, this is Winnie. We're getting them both.
How nice is that? Like, you actually gave Winnie like a good wee life.
Yeah.
And did he not live for like a couple of years?
Yeah.
Aye. And then obviously he would not have survived at all over there.
He wouldn't have lived that long over there.
Honestly.
Like, absolutely not. And there I was in the living room being like, see?
I told you.
And they were like,
You obviously genuinely believed this is going to happen.
and it was going to be an English setter.
Yeah.
Like, it was very specific. But I got him.
There you go. And
My little babe.
maybe the wee test was, okay, let's see how bad she really wants this dog called Winnie. Here we go. Here's one, but nobody will adopt him. And you're like,
And he's
no,
going
I
to come
will.
all the way from Serbia. You've
You're
got to work hard. During COVID, by the way, as well.
Oh, God.
So it was hard to get him.
Yeah.
But I worked hard. I was getting him.
You got your Winnie. And what a nice wee life as well.
Oh,
like your boy, you're like, oh God.
No win.
See this flat though? I manifested this because I remember when I was looking for a flat, I was like, I knew that I wanted something like beside the canal, and I wanted something like where it was like scenic and things like that. And honestly, see, as soon as I walked in here, I just knew. Do you know that way?
Yeah.
Like
I love
and I
this
was like,
flat.
this is my flat. Like, oh my God, it's
So good.
perfect. And it just goes with all my other manifestations. Like, obviously this was years ago that I got this, but anytime that I've sort of wrote manifestations about like yoga and film and stuff, it's always this exact setting that I'll write down. Like, you know, it's like airy and bright and just we've got the vibes going. Like, even our podcast set up.
Wait, you actually did write that in one of your...
Yeah. It was like...
Yeah, it was... You wrote that about the living room.
The sort of setting that it was going to be. Yeah. Like...
So good.
So good. So people need to know. People just need to believe, and you need to be patient as well though, and you need to just trust the timing. If you're like being forceful...
Oh, I know.
and being like, it's not happening quick enough.
Because I've been forceful with it before.
Oh, same.
Like, especially with relationships and stuff, it's not going to work.
You're just
You're
like,
just gonna
aye.
put it down, trust the timing, trust the universe. Because
Whereas in the past, you definitely wouldn't have done that. You would have just been like, oh, this is fine.
yeah. Just give me my dream partner now.
Aye.
And it's like the next person that you go on a date with, you're like, right, okay.
Aye,
And then you're
this
like, oh,
must
wait,
be
hold
it.
on.
No, I know.
This isn't right.
And that
you
goes
know.
back to what we spoke about earlier. Like, you'll just settle.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And again, that's
And
you
I
being
have.
tested. Aye.
How many, like, I've settled many a time.
Many, yeah.
Got to run away.
Abort mission.
And then it's like, finally, I wake up and I'm like,
oh, God. Aye.
run.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
I feel like another thing that sort of manifested for me is I always like was very close to my sister and we lived together for a while and things like that, and we've always had flats nearby, and now we are like neighbours and things. There's just, see, the more I think about it, I'm like, wow, there's just so much.
Yeah.
And it is like, if we actually were to sit here before this podcast and had a massive list, we could have been sitting here all day,
Oh,
just
I
been
know.
like, this happened and this happened
know.
and this happened. Even us meeting was manifested, and I think we spoke about that in the friendship episode, because both of us had wrote about meeting people who we align with, who we're similar with, who like to do X, Y, and Z, and we always say that we are very similar, as much as we are different in many ways, but we have a lot of like similar things. It's just very crazy, isn't it?
Well, yeah. Like, I think that was my 2024 was me manifesting you gals.
I know. And there'll be so many people out there just now doing that. So if you are, then just be patient, because and take the action, obviously. Be patient, take the action, go and do the things that you know you should be doing. And I must say, sometimes I'm really bad for just procrastinating. Especially right now, I'm quite comfortable now, and I'm aware of that.
Paula is a procrastinator.
Yes. I'm just like, I've got the ideas, I've got the plans, it's all, and then I'm just like,
I mean, so am I, to be fair. But Paula did send me a video of her sitting on the couch yesterday.
how bad?
She was supposed to be packing her case for Tenerife. And she
I end up
was
this
not.
like crazy like loophole, like
She just sat here.
I ended up like buying new pillows for my bed and things like that. I'm just like, what am I up to? After telling you I need to get my arson gear,
Yeah. Just go and pack your case.
treated myself to some 4 brand new hotel pillows. Like, honest to God,
Did
I
you
know.
buy them?
Let's talk about vision boards, because when my vision board's in there and it's like fell apart, it's like just chaos everywhere. So on my vision board, I actually have like accidentally put like a sort of gym yoga vibe together, which is obviously now Prosper. Like I didn't know that was going to happen, and I didn't think that that's actually what I was manifesting. So that's there. Lots of stuff to do with like self-love club and like the sauna and stuff, like just pure weird stuff. And then on that as well, I've got like all the stuff from when I done my half marathon and podcast, like that's on there as well. And you've mentioned this before about the podcast and the setup.
And do you remember I had put like 2 pictures of people podcasting, and I knew I wanted to do a podcast, but I hadn't put them on my vision board with the intention of 2 people doing a podcast. I hadn't put it on. I just put it on there because put it on there more because it was like 2 gals and it was like friendship and
really that was
and now
you and I.
But it was you and I, and it was 2 gals sat on a sofa with this sort of
love
vibe.
that.
So I had, even without thinking, I had manifested this.
And
like
even
that
like
is spooky.
that wee sign there, I've basically got something like that on my vision board, like all of these, and I kind of randomly buy these things, and I'm like, this is why it was there. It was for the set, like that board that you've got. Like, there's a reason behind it all.
Spooky.
That's why we're here,
That's why we're here.
isn't it? Like,
I know,
it's just
how spooky.
it's like, you know that way when you, I don't know, like you go somewhere or you're talking about someone and then you bump into them.
Yeah.
It's like that kind of thing. It's just like, okay, that was meant to happen.
Or like you're thinking about them and then they'll message you or call you and you're like, oh.
That's like that whole, these are like, I don't know, what would you call that? Like your energies are like connecting through the universe or something. Like it's
really
pure
weird.
weird. Aye. Some people have amazing stories, and there's always like different signs that people get. And one of the ones that come up quite a lot is like robins.
Yeah.
And you hear the people and it's like they go out a walk and the robin's just like following them and following them, or like even landing on their shoulder. Like stuff like that is, and quite often when I'm sitting out there, like I get a wee robin that appears, and if I'm sitting in Carla and Dougie's, there's always one, and they are like saying that that's like Dougie's wee granny Omi, and it's just so. But I'm like, oh, it comes at the same time every day.
Really?
Yeah, like stuff like that as well. You could look out for. So see whatever sign it is that you've put out, like if it is like very specific, for example, the pink flamingo thing. Like for me, I'm like, right, okay. And what I said was, if you show me a pink flamingo, then I know I'm on the right path. So when that came up the other day, I was like, right, okay, I know that I'm on the right path. I know that everything's going to be all right.
That was proper spooky.
It was like,
Just like, that was so weird.
wasn't it? I still can't get over that.
Because those cards, each of them had an animal on them, but of all the animals for you to...
Yeah, out of like all of those cards.
I got turkey. But my card was magnetism through gratitude. And the day before, so I had an event the day before, and I was talking about affirmations, manifestations, and self-love through gratitude.
Yeah, and see the
So
magnetism thing, it's weird because Carla bought a mug that says, I am a magnet, and she said that's for Nelia.
Spooky.
You didn't even know that, and I've
No.
just told you that. So see, when you said magnetism,
so
I was
spooky.
like, Carla was like, oh, I got this for Nelia. Like, not me. She got it for you. And it is. She was like, you could use it in the podcast, and I was like, oh. So there you go, another wee sign, like
That is another
because you're like
Thanks,
magnetic
Carla.
now
Love
for like
you.
opportunities and right. Think about Louisa's studio. You probably manifested that and going to work there and like everything about it, and then everything just like there's just so
also,
much.
Louisa manifested that studio for herself.
Yeah, she did.
Because-
I remember because we obviously done yoga school together. I actually remember her saying this, and that's exactly what I imagined hers would look like because she was very specific about it.
But they were having to move house, and it was so last minute.
Yes,
and
that's right.
Like really stressful. Couldn't find anywhere. Obviously, we live in the countryside, so it's like there's not a lot of places to find, and it was insane. But Louisa just kept going. Nope, it's fine. We'll find somewhere.
Yeah,
There's going to be the right place to come.
yeah.
Everything's okay. And I think Colin was a bit like,
Like, why are you being so chill?
no, there's nothing. We're going to have to go back to Livingston, or we're going to have to go back to Glasgow.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing. And Louisa kept going, no, there's going to, like, the right place will pop up. The right place will pop up. And it got closer and closer to them having to move out.
Yeah.
And then someone from the area phoned them and said, I've got a place here.
Yeah.
And they looked at one place. And then when they were there, I think she then got a phone call about this other place, which is where they're now at. Said, oh, why don't you go have a look? And so they went, they looked at the house, but before they even went in where the studio is, it was at the time just like a barn.
Yeah,
like
like empty barn.
And Colin looked in and went, Louisa, look at that. That's a yoga studio.
My
And she looked at it and she went, that's my vision. That's what I've been seeing.
How amazing is that?
Uh-huh.
And that's that whole trust in the timing
I don't
and
even
trusting
think
your
she had
gut.
started fully teaching
Yeah.
then. And she's
That
like,
was her sign,
that
though.
is, we're moving in.
Love that.
That's it.
But I get because she was so calm. She was like, I know that it's
Yeah.
going to be fine.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Trust the universe. I know
Yeah.
the right place is coming.
Honestly,
And the
that is
perfect place.
amazing.
The perfect place.
Oh,
Kate.
it is. It is
It's
stunning.
the perfect place.
Oh, she's like when I look at that, I'm like, yes, that is just so Louisa.
It's
like,
so Louisa.
it's amazing.
So Louisa.
I love to hear stories like that. I told this story before about when I first went on my solo holiday, and do you remember like the COVID thing? And basically, I just was so relaxed. I was like, it's fine. Like, obviously, at first, you get that, oh shit, like, is this? But then I just had to be like, no, it's fine. Like,
It's chill.
I've already visualised myself walking down that beach myself. I know it's going to be fine.
It's gonna happen.
And it was like, so trust it. Like, really, really trust in your vision and whatever it is that you want. Trust that it's going to happen. And you'll get people that will be like putting you off, and you'll get people who'll say, ugh, it's a coincidence, or these things happen all the time. Like, surely that's not a sign. It's like, I don't know. I think it is.
Yeah, that's on them. Just believe it yourself and trust it yourself.
Believe and you shall receive.
Again, I'm singing.
Always. You love a wee song.
I've missed the mic. It's been a week.
Yeah, thank God, I know.
Yes.
It's been a week, Kelly. I know.
I've missed her.
And see, when you're manifesting as well, like, don't be put off by, like, things that I used to be put off by was sort of, you'd hear people who would just say that they thought about something and it happened, right? I don't believe that. And that's the sort of stuff that used to put me off. And that, because I used to be like, no, because there's no actual way that could happen. You can't just, there was no concrete evidence for me that could actually happen. I could just sit here and think, okay, I want £1 million on that table there. It's not going to happen, right? And I think sometimes you can get lost, especially on like TikTok and Instagram. There's a lot of cowboys out there who are convincing you that, you know, you just need to keep thinking. It's not just about your thoughts. Your thoughts obviously are one of the biggest parts of it, but everything else needs to sort of align. So if you have come across some shit and you're like, no, absolutely not. Trust me, I used to be like that. I used to think they're all fucking loonies and there's no way that could happen. But then you find your own way of doing it and you find a way that works for you. So there's like kind of two ways into it. There's like the spiritual way and the sciencey way. And I'm kind of in the middle of both because I don't think anything is that black and white. I don't really just think it's all to do with the science side. I don't really think it's all to do with the spiritual side. So for me, I found a nice wee balance in both. And I think the spiritual stuff's obviously like the signs and all that. And then the sciencey stuff is just, you know, like obviously changing your thoughts and meditation and changing the brain and creating new neural pathways and stuff. So for me, it's like being a bit of both. And we've all got our own ways of doing it.
Yeah. Do you remember, speaking of like trends and cowboys on TikTok and things, do you remember the Lucky Girl?
Yeah, I think that's that's still about, I think,
Yeah, I remember that going viral and I think that was just, I do believe if you say mantras like, I'm so lucky, everything always goes my way.
Yeah.
And say mantras, and if you truly believe it, I do believe that does work.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
Because it was a viral trend, people were just going around going, I'm so lucky, everything always goes my way. And
but they feel like shite.
Yeah.
Aye.
And just thinking, well, why is it not working?
Yeah.
Why isn't my life turning around? But everything else, like their actions and everything else in their life was not aligning with what they were saying.
Yes, aye.
Therefore, it wasn't working.
Like that's why.
That's the problem with like TikTok trends and viral trends is that it's just some cowboy saying,
and it just makes it easier.
Do this every day for 7 days or 30 days and your life will turn around. And then that's it. It's like
there's no other information
it's
there.
It's a 7-second video and that's it.
They're just like, doing that for the algorithm and to get the likes.
It really frustrates me. It's like, say more.
No, but it's like, and that's why people will then say, this is a lot of shite.
I know.
But it's like, you're not going to be crying, you know, like crying your heart out, breaking your heart, and then saying, I feel really happy, because obviously you fucking don't. Like, it's like that. Like, so if you're feeling like shite, then it's not going to work. But if you actually are feeling lucky and you're, you know, feeling really good and deliberately every day doing things that will make you feel good, then aye, of course you will be.
It's like what I can't remember what episode we said, but it was, you have to sort of step into who you want to be.
Yeah.
Fake it till you make it. Almost.
Fake it till you make it. And then I think as well, knowing like when you're doing all this stuff, like I think it's important to recognise your own privileges, because we obviously are privileged. Like we stay in like safe homes and we are really like surrounded by loving people and things like that. And there's some people that aren't. So for them to be able to like manifest certain things, it is going to be more difficult.
Yeah.
And if you obviously are in a place where you're privileged enough to, you know, feel safe, feel secure, be able to be surrounded by all this love and energy, then I feel like, it is a lot easier for you. Yeah. So a lot of this stuff doesn't take that into account. But also, equally on the flip side, without sounding too harsh, like if you're in a really shit situation, it can pull you out of it. Like you can you could choose to stay in that really shit situation, or if you really actually go, no, I'm changing my life, then you can. Because there's so many people that have done it. There's people who have been in unbelievable mental situations, like people who have been refugees and things, and they've completely changed their lives. And they'll say it's through, you know, all this sort of stuff. Obviously, there's different things involved in that, but I think from both sides, you can kind of, because we've done this, we've played the victim before.
Yeah.
And really, when you compare our level of being a victim to someone else's as well, like, but you're always going to get that. So there's always going to be some element of you comparing your situation to somebody else's, positive or negative.
Yeah.
And I just think recognise actually your privilege, and that comes as well when you're doing gratitude. You start to be grateful for even like the smallest wee things. And gratitude is obviously a big part of manifesting, which we'll talk about in part 2. But honestly, see, when you start to just feel thankful for all the stuff you've got in your life, feeling thankful for the fact that you've actually got a bed to sleep in every night, feeling thankful for the fact that you can boil the kettle every morning.
Yeah.
You really start to notice a shift in your attitude. You really start to notice a shift in just, you notice things coming to you more that you maybe wouldn't have noticed before.
Yeah.
Like you start to go, oh, wait a minute, actually I'm like luckier than I thought.
And see, practicing gratitude when you are at your lowest.
Yeah.
That can be, it's one of the most powerful things.
Yeah.
When I was in some of the most toxic relationships and some of the most lowest points in my life, and even when I was in hospital and I started practicing gratitude, it was hard because you're like, what the fuck am I grateful for?
Yeah.
Because I was playing victim.
Yeah.
Well, in some parts I was a victim, but once you start practicing gratitude, and it is hard. I sat there for hours sometimes. It really was difficult, but it is simple as I can boil a kettle, I can put the heating on.
Yeah.
As simple as that.
Yeah. It's like small things that you can easily forget about. And books like The Resilience Project, there's a lovely wee story in that. And it's about the guy who goes to India and it's the most underprivileged people, but they're the happiest people. Yeah. And there's a story about that wee boy, and I was actually bawling my eyes out crying like so many times in that book. Like, and he's just so grateful to have a pair of shoes. Like, he thinks it's the best thing ever. And there's a point that also changes this guy's life, and he asks, this wee boy from the school in India asks the author, do kids in Australia have playground equipment like this?
I was about to say that.
But is this broken down? Like, the author basically says it's not a playground, it's not even safe. Like,
they can't even really use it as a playground.
But the kids are pure buzzing with it. And when that wee boy then asks, does Australia have this? And he's like, yeah, they do. And he's like, oh, that makes me so glad. I'm so happy to hear that. And that's a wee boy who's got nothing. And all he's worried about is if other people have this as well.
Because he was showing off the playground.
He thought it was so amazing.
Thought it was the best thing ever.
And just wanted to help others, and he was grateful for a pair of shoes. And he was like, the guy then found him in the middle of the night, sleeping in the street with a wee blanket, with a big smile on his face, and he was so happy at No.
Sleeping in a school uniform.
Aye. Like,
because he was grateful that he could go to school.
No, I read stuff like that and I'm like, Paul, I get a grip.
That's why that book changed my life. Because
genuinely.
Yeah.
For me, like, and I'm very much like, feel your feelings, all of that's valid, but that just fucking brings me right back to earth. I'm like, Paula, get a fucking grip of yourself.
No, I know. Because I read that book when I was really at my low point. I'm working in a very privileged school. Yeah. And I thought, what the fuck am I doing? I do feel like shit and I am breaking down, but
look at all this I've got round about me.
Let's not do this.
Yeah. Like come on, Nelia.
Come on. Like, you are going through shit and you do have a lot going on, but you're not sleeping on the floor. Yeah. Like in the middle of a street. Yeah. So that get a fucking grip.
I just feel like I'd love to meet that wee boy.
Have a smile on your face.
Exactly.
Like get a fucking grip, Nelia. And that's why it changed my life. Like, and I'll always go back to that book. Whenever I start feeling myself start to complain, I'm like, get back.
Resilience Project.
Read it again, or even just read a chapter, because it's every chapter in that book gives you something.
Oh, there's some. The characters in that book as well. Like, honestly, like even in that book, they talk about the young boy that had disabilities, and obviously I'm not going to ruin it, but like hearing his wee story as well just makes you feel like, we'll moan about going to work, but there's this guy, that's his life. Loves it. And it's like, yeah. It's, but again, I've mentioned this before. One of my actually the favourite job I ever had was being a support worker for young people with complex needs and learning disabilities. because genuinely it's so inspiring. You look at people, what they can actually achieve, and they don't have anywhere near the privilege that we've got, and they can honestly, like, some of the happiest people ever, some of the most grateful people ever, and it's like the simple things in life, and it just, again, that sort of makes you go, wow, this is just so inspiring. It's amazing. That's why I really, really struggled working there when I heard some of like the negative attitudes and people complaining about fucking getting 10 minutes lunch break, and you're like, what are you like,
eat your sandwich and get on with it.
Like, why can you not just eat? Like, do you know that way? Stuff like that. Or they're no happy about this, they're no happy about that. Like, this person's doing this person's that. I'm like, got to look at your surroundings here. Like, why are you not grateful to be here? Why?
Obviously, we all have those days.
Aye.
I do get scunnered when people do it every day.
Oh no, it's their life. Aye.
I used to, when I worked in schools, that used to be every fucking day.
That genuinely was the main reason I had to leave there, because I just couldn't get in the same mindset of these people who were just very ungrateful for actually everything they've got in life, very ungrateful for their job, like, and I feel bad for them, because I'm just like, you must feel terrible.
Yeah. Like, it was the same with me in my old works. It's like, you've got so much, and yet what?
Yeah. Mind blown.
Are complaining about every little thing.
Yeah.
And me and my friend Katie last week, we were talking about it, that a lot of, when we worked in Thailand, we were working at a very privileged school, very, very privileged school. But the local workers in Thailand, the chefs or the security staff and the cleaners, they were getting paid nothing.
Pennies, yeah.
And some people would just treat them so badly. And it's just like,
it makes you feel sick.
Or they would complain, and they would just or people would complain about how much they were getting paid, like how much they were getting paid. And I was just like, get over yourself.
Yeah, like
look how happy these people are because they get to work in the school.
It's so ignorant.
And you're complaining about having to work an extra hour today, or you're complaining about not getting a bonus. These people are just happy to be working in the school.
And you were getting put up in accommodation.
Yeah.
I mean, these other people will be having to go home to
and they would just
whatever.
complain about their accommodation, that it wasn't good enough.
Oh my gosh. That's why, mate, you were never, that was
Katie,
never for
by the
you.
way, we were not getting paid. We were getting paid not a very good wage compared to all the other staff.
Yeah.
But we were just happy to be there.
I don't think, because we've never been like that, and we never will be like that. We'll never understand what it's like to be in that mindset, like how you can be so ignorant.
Yeah.
It's
just,
like,
really.
These people need to practice gratitude. That is the moral of that story. Like, all these people who we've just mentioned in the last 20 minutes, you guys need to practice gratitude.
Practice gratitude.
Get your journals out if you're
also
listening.
Practice self-love, because they people don't.
But you know what, mate?
Themselves. Or sometimes they fucking love themselves in that other,
the narcissistic way. But I was ready to say,
in a real love.
No.
way.
They're like in an insecure, like, give me validation kind of way. Yeah. I was going to say, get your journals out if this is you, but let's be honest, those humans won't be listening to this podcast. So, hi if you're here, because we know that's not you. And if you are here, then sort yourself out.
Sort yourself out.
Oh God, no, that's really mean, because if you are here, and maybe you have been like that, you're here obviously because you want to change, so we are proud of you, but sort yourself out.
Oh dear.
Oh, right, are we doing a word of wisdom for this one? This is kind of end up like casual chat, but it was just us sharing wee bits of stories.
Yeah,
I think I'd done a word of wisdom at the start, didn't I? Yes, I did.
Yeah, you did.
What are you going to give us a wee self-love affirmation? Ready?
Yeah.
Let's have it.
I am a magnet for everything I desire.
Yes. Love it.
Ta-da.
Get that in your journals, guys, because you are. And I am a magnet for everything. Just anything that you want. I'm a magnet. I'm a magnet. I'm a magnet.
Why?
Because you are.
Can't wait for this mug from Carla.
Oh, it's so cute, by the way. You're going to love it. Yeah.
Thanks,
I actually should have got it there when I was along there.
It's fine.
It's to come. It is to come. Right, so stay tuned
Caroline.
for part 2, which will be coming up next.
Yeah.
We are going to be sharing all the tools, all the steps that you need. So we've shared all the nice wee stories, hopefully inspires you to be like, I'm going to get on that manifesting train. We got you. So stay tuned for part 2. Thank you.
Love
and
you.
we'll speak soon. That was cute. So good.